Hello guys, welcome back to another video here on the Banjo Addict page. Thank you so much for pushing that play button. I greatly appreciate it. Today I want to go over banjo books, the different banjo books that I use and I find useful for myself. I probably won't be going through each one individually and kind of showing everything, but I will give a kind of an overview of each of the books that I've used through the years, then the ones that I use the most and I refer back to quite a bit. I'm going to break this down into two different categories. The first category is going to be learning books, and the second category is going to be song books, where the first one is more teaching, and then the second category is more, they have the songs in there and you just got to learn them off tablature. With that being said, let's get into it. The first book I want to talk about for any beginner on the banjo is this Bluegrass Banjo Method by Jack Hatfield. If you haven't heard of this book, go out and check it out. It's at hatfieldmusic.com if you're interested in this book. He has 3 different books. This will be the first one in the series. It kind of goes over the basics of everything on the banjo, and it's a good book to have just to kind of refresh back to and go over some of the things that you may be foggy on, or it's just a good refresher book to go back through, especially if you know how to play the banjo. If you don't know and you're starting out learning to play the banjo, these are great books if you don't get a teacher, which I recommend completely if you're starting out to get a teacher. But if you don't get a teacher, this is one of the next best things, I think. And again, when I'm going through these books, guys, I know there's a ton of books out there and there's probably more than I'm going to go over today, but these are just the ones that I find helpful or have found helpful. But just like this book from Jack Hatfield, the Bluegrass Banjo Method, Book 1, the first part of it goes, lesson 1 goes through the roll, melody notes, fill notes, left hand position, and then it gives a song that you can kind of play, you know what I'm saying? And then the second one, kind of like I did in my beginner banjo series on this page, it kind of takes you from basics all the way up to, you know, playing songs. It teaches you how to change strings with the forward roll, how to count time. So it is kind of all the basics of learning to play the banjo, and it's a good book to have, and I have referred back to these books quite a bit myself. The second book in the learning series is that Bluegrass Banjo Method, but it's book 2. It kind of gets more in depth with things. It's kind of like level 2 kind of deal. He gets more in depth on timing, playing up the neck, different notes, different keys, and learning your fingerboard. Kind of gives you, like, it kind of just eases you right along and learning to play the banjo. And then in the second book, it's the same thing. He does lessons and gives songs to that lesson that you can go through and play. The tablature on it is nice, big, bold tablature in here in this book, as you can see. The lights ain't shining on it. Let me try to get it where the light ain't shining on it. As you can see, the tablature in this book is very, very bold. It's not little bitty notes and stuff. You can see it really well. And he goes over quite a bit of things in the second book and gives you a lot of information. And the main reason that I like a lot of these books and to have them around is because they give, each person might have a little bit of a knack for something, and I don't know how to really explain that, but most of the books like these that teach you how to play the banjo, they all basically teach you about the same thing. It might be different songs and it might be different ways of going about it. There's a lot of books, like you may read this book and not understand something and read another book and it makes it clear and it hits you. You're like, oh, okay, I see now. That's why I recommend not only not sticking with one particular book and trying to get as many books as you can and read them, because if you don't understand something, either you've read it enough or seen it enough that then it finally starts making sense to you. And then finally in this series on the Jack Hatfield, the lesson 3, this book is about backup banjo. It teaches you how to play backup, and this is actually the main reason, to be honest with you, that I got this series of books is for this one particular book right here. When trying to learn to play backup in jam sessions or just with other people, if you want to play with other people, all that good stuff, that's the main reason I got this. I got this in a series, but this is the main one I needed out of it. And this is a great book. I've read through this thing several times, to be honest with you. There's a lot of great information in these books. So again, if you're interested in these Hatfield books, they're at hatfieldmusic.com. You can check them out. Another great learning series person who writes really nice books is Janet Davis. I recommend anything by Janet Davis. That if you're interested in learning something and you look it up and Janet Davis has wrote a book on it, pick it up, because she is very, very good at writing these things. I've got a lot of Janet Davis books. But just like this one, Splitting the Licks. Again, improvising and arranging songs on the 5-string banjo, and that was something that I was interested in doing and not having a teacher at the time. Read through this book and learned quite a bit. She goes through everything, gives you songs to play, melody notes, chord notes. She kind of teaches you the melody notes and then how to put the melody notes onto a tablature, and then how to put the fill licks in, and why do you put the fill licks in, and where to put the fill licks in, and all that good stuff. It teaches you a lot of stuff in this book. So This is another one that I have found very useful, Splitting the Licks by Janet Davis. And again, another Janet Davis book. This is banjo scales in tab, and more or less this book more or less goes through go through all the scales on the banjo, and it kind of teaches you common sense, kind of common talking, terms. She don't get too far out there as far as her terms goes. She teaches everything very, very well, and this is another book that I would recommend if you're at this point and want to learn scales on the banjo, is to pick up this book. And last but not least in the learning banjo books is Up Banjo by Janet Davis. Again, Janet Davis. And again, same thing, she's teaching you backup on the banjo, and the same thing I was telling you about the Hatfield video is, the book is, I got that book because I'm trying to learn backup banjo, and the same thing with this thing. I got this thing as I was trying to learn to play backup banjo. A lot of good information. There's a lot of good information in this book that isn't in the Jack Hatfield book. There's a lot of good information that's in the Jack Hatfield book that isn't in this one. So it kind of showed me that, like I said, if you get somebody that's very good at what they do, then it's recommended that you pick up that book. And then also, if you're trying to learn different styles, again, if you're trying to learn different styles of the banjo, it's good to get certain books. And like if you're learning the 3-finger style, the Scruggs style, 3-finger style, then you can go that way. Or you can go with the key style or the melodic style, however you want to call it. But anyways, I got the melodic style banjo from Janet Davis, of course. But anyways, the melodic style of banjo in this book, and trying to teach myself the melodic style of banjo when I was doing it. But anyways, again, Janet Davis does a slam bam job on this with these books. It's very, very thorough. It's very simple to read, simple to understand. She takes you step by step through it if you don't skip and try to hurry through the book. This is a great book to have. It's not my favorite melodic style banjo book. My favorite is Melodic Banjo by Tony Trischka. This is a phenomenal book. Tony, writing this book, done a fantastic job as far as explaining things, the terminology, how to get from A to B kind of deal, the difference, why you would play certain things, basic chord positions, things of that nature. This book right here, I couldn't recommend this one enough. As you can see, my card's still in it from where I've been reading it quite a bit, but this one is a great book if you get a chance. If you want to learn melodic style banjo, I recommend picking it up. Now we're going to get into more of the song books instead of the learning books. We're going to go somewhat transfer over into song books with this next one. This one is 400 Smoking Bluegrass Banjo Licks, and I recommend picking up this book. It's by Eddie Collins. But anyways, what it does is it shows you songs that you can play this lick in, I guess you could say. Like here, it shows you a progression on how to play a certain part through here. It shows you how to play that progression. Well, then it gives you another progression through that same chord sequence, and then it also gives you different licks on the next page that you can fill in any one of them places with those fill licks. It kind of gives you how to improvise, and it gives you a lot of great bluegrass licks. Should I read? I've probably learned and forgotten more bluegrass licks out of this book than I care to admit. Now, this next book, I'm gonna tell you, I haven't got into a whole lot. I haven't played a lot out of it. I haven't learned a lot out of it, but I plan on it when I get some free time. I'm going to learn some stuff out of here. It's very intricate and it's very high level banjo playing, I guess you could say. But it's Bach for banjo. Or Bach or Bosch. I don't know, to be honest with you. I'm not into, I'm going to say Bach for banjo. But anyways, the main reason I got it, to be honest with you, is to learn. But I mainly got this book just because it's a lot of melodic single, double finger picking. And I was wanting to work on that quite a bit. And I'll just kind of show you an excerpt here. You can see a page. But it's a lot of double string, the same chords, but you're just moving your fretting hand to a different fret, the 14th fret, 15th, 16th, 14th, right in that area, but you're picking the same strings with the right hand. So anyways, it's something that interested me, and I will at some point in time really delve into it and learn some of these songs here, and hopefully get them onto the channel where you all can see them. I've got to speed up here because this is already 20 minutes long. Skip to the end of the songbooks. I got 3 last songbooks that I want to talk about that I recommend that you pick up if you're learning to play the banjo or want to learn to play new songs. These 3 books right here, especially the last 2, but these 3 books right here, are a definite must if you're needing songbooks, is The Ultimate Songbook by Janet Davis. A lot of great songs in here. A lot of these songs in these last 3 books kind of overlap each other. It's a lot of the same songs, but something that's great about that is they're not all tabbed out the same way. They tab them out different ways. So if you read, like, say, Foggy Mountain Breakdown in this book and in the next 2 books, then it may be tabbed out differently or gives you a different version where you can play a certain way of that song, if that makes sense. This by Janet Davis, The Ultimate Songbook. I recommend picking it up. It's got a lot of great songs in there. I think this thing has got like, but I'll just show you. It ain't got numbers beside it, but that's how many songs is in this book. The next book is one that I've picked up actually quite recently in the past couple of years. I found this book, didn't even realize that they had it out. So anyways, this is the Earl Scruggs Banjo book, songbook. And this is different than his other book because this one is just banjo songs. And you can see that this thing has, let's see here. Well, I ain't got numbers beside them either, but it's got a crap ton of songs. It tells all Earl's tunings in it, the capo positions, all that stuff, the way Earl played it. I use this book quite a bit when I'm trying to learn new songs on the banjo, but you can see that there is a crap ton of songs in this book. It's well worth getting if you're trying to learn the banjo. My last and number 1 book that I recommend getting, I recommend anybody playing the banjo get this book, read it thoroughly from front cover to back cover, up and down, right and left. Just know this book forwards and backwards, and I think everybody out there who plays the banjo probably knows which book I'm getting ready to pull out. But this is the Earl Scruggs and the 5-string banjo book. Now, I've not got the original. I've heard the original's a little different than this one. This book is phenomenal. If you read it from cover to cover, it goes through the first of it. Earl goes through pretty much everything as far as how to start, how to hold your pick, hold the banjo, what the banjo is. I mean, it's just like a same as the Hatfield I was telling you before, but it's all in this book from Earl Scruggs. If you don't have this book, definitely pick it up because not only does it have lessons in here, he has a lot of songs tabbed out. And it's tabbed out the way Earl Scruggs plays it. And this book is invaluable to anybody that has a 3-finger style banjo. I hope this video has helped you out. Maybe give you some ideas on some books that you might want to get. With that being said, we'll see y'all in the next video.